Welcome to Swain County Schools, The School Zone, the podcast that covers everything going on in and about Swain County Schools. This is episode 1.4, Maroon Devil Character on the wrestling mat and in the kitchen. Superintendent Mark Sale talks to 4 outstanding high school students about what Maroon Devil Character means to them when competing on a big stage. And now, from our studio high atop 50 Main, we proudly present The School Zone.
Welcome this afternoon to the first ever School Zone podcast. And not only are we creating a podcast, but we're creating a video at the same time as part of the superintendent's weekly message. And I'm really grateful that all of you are here. Congratulations on all of your success. I know that you have had what some would consider varied levels of success. But I think it's important to note that whenever you set yourself to a goal and you apply yourself towards that goal, if you even come close to it, I really believe that you can count that as a success. Although in our culture, obviously it seems like everybody thinks that first place is the only place. I personally disagree with that. I think that first place is whenever you've applied yourself with everything that you've had, and then the result happens. So congratulations to all of you. No one knows who you are except for me, so we're going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, describe the community where you're from perhaps, and then tell us what that most recent success has been for you. Okay, we're going to start with Jonas. Jonas is involved in wrestling.
Yeah. I'm Jonas Trejo. I'm a senior in high school. I've been wrestling for like 6 years now, and I live in Birdtown community, and I won state this year, and it just, like, coming from Birdtown community, it just feels like I was able to, like, contribute to Birdtown community by, like, representing them being at state and winning.
And then I know that the folks in Birdtown and across the boundary, that everyone is really proud to know you and is pleased with what you've done, and I know that you're proud of yourself. We'll come back and talk about that in just a minute. Nate?
I'm Nathan Brock. I'm a senior at Swain County High School, and I've been wrestling for 6 years, 5, 6. I mean, my family's not really, like, originally from here, so they're not as tied to the community as a lot of other families. But, I mean, yeah, I placed second at state this year, so I got close, but I guess that's it.
Well, and I know that the runner-up probably leaves you feeling like there's another level you could have achieved.
Yes, sir.
But I can promise, knowing you, Nate, that you left everything you had on the mat, and it just wasn't the day. So we're pleased, we're proud of you, and we're glad to have you as part of our community. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
We've also got 2 individuals that are not involved in wrestling, but they've been involved in another competition called Junior Chef. Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask your partner to as well.
Yeah, I'm Jordan Terry. I've been cooking for about most of my life now, just helping out my parents around the house. You know, it's just growing up, watching my father cook. It was a really good, like, father figure in my life. Being able to see him cook, it really taught me that I wanted to cook in my life. And then once I got into high school, joining the Foods One, it really just showed me that I have a nice interest for it. It was really nice. I'm part of the Swain community around here. I feel like I really represented them. We represented them good.
I believe that you did, and it's important to note that both of you, Jordan and, oh my goodness, Haylee, because I started to call you Terry, but that was his last name, so that would have been a little bit odd, right? So
a little bit.
Just a little bit. Sorry. So Jordan and Haylee came away with a 3rd place finish in the state, competing against all the different regions in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And you also came back with a $6,000 scholarship each. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. So, Haylee, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
I'm Haylee Gerard, and I'm a sophomore at Swain County High School. And my family, we aren't originally from here. We're from Fort Myers, Florida, and we came up here about 11 years ago. But, yeah, I've been helping my family cook in the kitchen, and actually my sister is pretty much who inspired me, because she's been cooking since she was, like, really young, And everyone's like, oh, she's going to be the one going to culinary school. But then I decided I liked cooking too.
And you're obviously really good at that, or else you wouldn't have come back like you have with a scholarship and an award. So Jordan and Haylee both mentioned that some of the influence that you have had as far as cooking is concerned comes from your family, right? What about you two? Something has influenced you to get into the wrestling business, not wrestling, but wrestling. So Nate or Jonas, speak to where did you get the drive to do this?
So first up, well, I don't know. I mean, I never really had anything like against it or for it. But then like 6th grade, Coach Ian Roper, he always came around the cafeteria talking to everyone, literally everyone, about wrestling. And I was just like, I mean, I'm not playing basketball, so why not? And I went that year, which was 6th grade, and they told us that 6th graders at the time couldn't compete like in like actual matches and stuff. So I didn't wrestle that year, and then I went back 7th grade, and that's pretty much just where it started.
So a coach had the foresight to reach out to you and to pull you in. That happens a lot in athletics, where a coach sees something special in a student, or they develop a relationship.
Yeah.
So that goes back to what Jordan and Haylee were talking about, though, just a little bit, because the relationship that they have with their family has helped lead them into cooking, and now the relationship that you've had with Coach Roper has helped lead you in, and then I imagine that has built and probably your relationship also with Adam Jaimez.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Jonas, so what's gotten you into wrestling?
Well, throughout my whole life, like early life, I was a basketball player. Like I played basketball up until my 7th grade. Didn't make the team, and I was planning on going out to play travel basketball instead. But like Nathan, Roper comes around the cafeteria, just sitting at a table. He comes up to our table, asks if any of us want to wrestle, and people point at me saying he'll do it. And he was like, all right, see you at practice. And so I was like, I didn't have any say. I was like, okay, I guess I'll have to go now. And then I guess I fell in love with the sport then. I was like, it was like natural to me, so I was just started committing myself to that.
Jonas, are you a senior?
Yes, sir.
So after this year, and I don't know what you're thinking about your future, do you see wrestling being part of what you may do later as perhaps at a college or university, or what are you thinking about your future?
Depending on like where I go to college, I'll either walk on or just stick to like my major in civil engineering. If I go to App State or NC State, I'll probably end up walking on to the wrestling team, just because like wrestling's always been there for me, like for most of my life now, that and it's just something I don't really want out of my life. It's like good exercise and stuff like that. And Coach Jaime has always taught me like morals and stuff like that, so it just helped me become who I am right now. So I definitely want it in my life in the future.
And I'm glad you mentioned the idea of morals. We'll come back to that in just a little bit, because we're going to talk about character overall, Maroon Devil character. Nate, remind me what year you are again?
I'm a senior.
That's what I thought. What are your plans after this year?
It's actually kind of funny that they're here, because I've always kind of had this plan, like to go to culinary school after high school. So which throughout high school, wrestling has kind of just been like, wrestling's been like what I did, but like I've always liked to cook, and like I've always been around cooking, but I've never like until this semester I decided to take foods, and I talked to Miss Franklin a little bit about like going to college and stuff for it, and I think that's what I'm actually gonna end up doing after high school, is going to culinary school of some sort somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. And there are all kinds of options for that.
Yes.
And I doubt that wrestling is probably offered at a culinary school.
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, no, probably not. But nevertheless, you've got a plan. What about you, Jordan? What are your thoughts?
After high school, I plan on going into a culinary school. I've already got the $6,000 along with $2,000 extra saved up for Johnson & Wales University right now. And that's the college I'd love to go to. I loved being there on the campus, learning in the kitchens.
Now, is that where the junior chef competition was?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte.
All right, very good. What about you, Haylee? What you're thinking about? I know that's a few years down the road. Have you thought that far yet?
I have thought about going to Johnson and Wales because there's a campus in Rhode Island, and my aunt and uncle live in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So I would love to go see them. And this is kind of geeky. Well, not really geeky, but the mascot is the Wildcats, and that's the High School Musical mascot.
Are you in the musical?
No, the Disney trilogy.
Okay. When you went to that, being an old music guy, I know that the musical is coming up in March at the high school, and we'll capitalize on that later. That was just a free plug. It was kind of shameless, I guess. So let's talk about some of the difficulties that you've faced in your respective sports, or maybe even in your life. I've started over here with Jonas 100 times now. Let's start over with Haylee. Let's talk about what are some of the difficulties that you had to overcome, either in this competition or in learning to cook or somewhere else.
Well, as far as the competition, having like the confidence to actually do it was not all there. Mm-hmm. So having like Miss Franklin and Jordan and everyone there supporting, and knowing that everyone else was in the same position, really helped. And cooking, it's always been my safe place. So whenever I'm in the kitchen, I don't feel uncomfortable. So cooking has really helped me come out of my shell, I think.
So would you consider yourself to be a little bit more of an introvert? A little shy? Yeah. And you come across that way just a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm an introverted nature as well. They've got this new thing called an extroverted introvert.
Interesting.
Yeah, you got to look that up. Anyhow, so tell me, Jordan, difficulties.
Difficulties, I guess, complete opposite of Haylee. I'm more of an extrovert myself.
You could have fooled me. I'm just telling you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Open book, but before the competition had started, Miss Franklin was practicing for it in her class in foods, and I was in the class. And I really just wanted to help out because I had already finished cooking, but I was preparing in the class for the day. And so I walked over there and I offered a little bit of help, and it really just kind of drew me into the whole process. Mm-hmm. And it really just brought me along. But really, like, challenges for me were, like, whenever I was growing up watching my dad cook, my mom was also there cooking with me, and I've recently had to cook with her a lot more. My parents had split up, mm-hmm. and not being with the dad that I was used to cooking with made it a bit harder growing up. Sure. So I guess that was one of the challenges that I had to go through. Learning to cook in new areas was also one, too, like going from the normal kitchen that I have at home, my little small house, to the giant commercial kitchen was a big step. It was a really great one, though. I really loved the step.
So I'm going to come over to you guys in just a second, but I want you to describe, I want Haylee and Jordan to describe the facility that you competed in for Junior Chef. And I'll come back because I know when we get done, I'm going to ask for you all to describe the experience of wrestling at the state level, because I saw pictures and that was pretty stunning to me. So tell me about the facility.
Well, the facility itself, it's nothing like you'd have a kitchen at home. It's got big range ovens with different top settings, and range ovens themselves cook a lot faster than the commercial kitchen ones. And so you've got plenty of space to work around usually in larger kitchens, plenty of equipment hanging around.
And it's not, you said it's not like your normal home kitchen, right? So you were going to add something there, Haylee.
No, like industrial kitchens are cold and stark and just intimidating.
You've got, like, your sink at home, how it has like 2. At the commercial kitchens, you'd have sink with 3 for sanitizing, rinsing, and then rewashing. So it's a lot different, like even the cleanup process after you're done, which is just something to learn, honestly.
And I imagine that's all pretty extensive. You guys, as we were coming over from the high school today for this, you mentioned that you got an opportunity to practice here in town using something like a commercial kitchen. I think you said at the First Baptist Church, right?
Yeah, Miss Franklin allowed us to use the First Baptist kitchen.
Great experience for you, but you still had to overcome a difficulty of moving out of a more traditional setting, even a small commercial kitchen setting like at the First Baptist Church, into something that was much larger, which required you to adapt pretty quickly, I would think.
Yeah, right? Breaking you out of your own comfort zone.
Yeah. What a great opportunity and experience for you.
Absolutely.
I think. Scares me to death. I'm glad you all did it. Tell me some difficulties, Jonas or Nate, difficulties that you've had to overcome in wrestling or something else.
Well, I mean, like physical difficulties. Well, for me personally, like my sophomore year, we were like season had just started. I think I was 3-2, and I was wrestling this kid at Smoky, and then I broke my arm. So then I was just out for the whole season, which that was just like a huge setback. I was really like, after my freshman year qualifying for state and then coming back sophomore year, like I was like ready, and then I just like it was just done. But other than that, I mean, pretty much every day is like a physical like setback of just like something always happens. Like you always like hit your knee, something's always like hurting, but I mean you kind of just have to work through it.
So, Nate, you said you broke your arm and your season was pretty much done at that point. How did you keep yourself motivated? I mean,
well, I mean, obviously for like a couple weeks I was like, didn't really do much because I was just like laying in bed, like hurting. But for the most part of the season, I came with them and like supported them, and that helped me like stay like motivated to wrestle and stuff, and which honestly it just kind of grew my motivation for it, just wanting to get back at it, and then I went with them to the state tournament that year as well, which was pretty huge.
I think it's pretty huge, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jonas, fill us in. Difficulties in your life in wrestling that are memorable.
Well, this season, senior season, most people are like dreading getting injured in a match or whatever, so that way they can't finish their senior season.
Right.
I had to deal with a early injury that put me out for 2 weeks due to my ankle. I had a low ankle sprain. I was out for 2 weeks. Thought that was I was happy that it was an early injury, that I had enough time to heal and finish the season. But let's see, conference was like 3 weeks before.
Yeah, 3 weeks before.
Yeah, before state tournament. I ended up hurting my ribs, got pulled muscles around my ribs, and I couldn't even move like the next day.
Yeah.
And I thought like my season was over right there. Just didn't think I'd be able to get back out there on the mat and finish it out. Luckily, my parents kept pushing me, just got me some stuff that would help my ribs heal faster, or something that can help me endure like the rest of the season. And those were like just stuff that's like pushed me to finish out the season.
So you two, describe for me the experience of wrestling at the state level. It was in Greensboro, correct, in the middle of a snowstorm?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Try and describe that for us.
Well, state is it's pretty intense. I mean, especially like most people know who are like the best wrestlers are in the state. Like they are like top-notch wrestlers. Just being around the warm-up room, it's like a small room, but like whenever you're down there and you're just around like all the greatest wrestlers like in the state that have your like freshman through senior, all those great wrestlers, the intensity down there, you can like just feel it. It's just crazy. Going out onto the mat has your heart like beating, just nervous. You want to always do your best, so you know.
Haylee, when you and Jordan, you've got Terry in my mind.
You can call me Terry.
I'm not gonna call you Terry. I'm gonna call you Jordan. But Haylee and Jordan, I'll get both of you in on this. Whenever you were getting ready to start the competition, Jonas described the feeling inside of him. Was it similar? Heart beating, worried, concerned. What were your feelings?
All of that. Just ask him. I was like drenched in sweat, red the entire time. And Miss Franklin, like all of the teachers had to stay outside of the kitchen and could watch through windows. So it was just the two of us. And I was like,
yeah, it was really like emotional standing there, just being in the kitchen as the timer's ticking down. You're sitting there like, what's my next move? What am I supposed to be doing right now? And you just really had to take your breath, catch your moment, and just understand that you're here now. You got to get it done. So.
Is that how you felt, Nick? Nate. Sorry, Nate and Nick. I'm sorry, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, it was kind of similar to like the moment of like the first time like I stepped on the mat in 7th grade, my first match. It's just kind of like nerve-wracking. Like, okay, a lot of people like a lot of what steers people away from wrestling is the fact that you have to wear a singlet, which I was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't like a huge deal to me, but it's just kind of weird. Like, I've never like done anything like that. But really, like, as soon as the match started, it was just all gone. Like, nerves were away, and it was just the match. And that's kind of how it was at state this year, and same for last year. Basically, like, so they take you out. It's kind of funny. You stand right next to the dude that you're wrestling in like a little room, and then a ref takes you out to the mat, and then you like stand there until the match before you is over. And so you basically are just standing right next to whoever you're wrestling for a good few minutes. But as soon as the match starts, it's pretty much just all nerves are gone, and it's just the match.
Haylee described cooking as kind of her, I think you called it your safe place, right? And I've heard other athletes talk about the fact that when they're in competition, it's the place where they really are in their safest, most welcoming place. And you don't have to agree with me because I'm saying this. You can disagree if you want. But whenever you're on the mat, from the description that you just gave, Nate, is it a safe place for you where everything else kind of you just zone out and this is it, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just like, it's hard to explain. It's just like any other problems that are going on like in my life or anything like that, it's all gone. It's just the match.
Do you feel the same way, Jonas, or not?
Oh yeah, like mind goes clear, just focusing on what's in front of you, trying to do your best.
You know, I think that those feelings that you're talking about, where you zone in, and all of a sudden you're really who you are, and there's nothing to distract you from your passion. Those are the places that bring us back to doing that again. I mean, when a person is an avid fisherman and they're out there either on the lake or in the stream, it's that safe place. They just zone out, and the rest of the world is gone, and so it calls them back time and time again. So we've talked about different feelings and different attitudes that you've had, different obstacles to overcome. You four represent to Swain County and to Swain County Schools students with excellent character. And that doesn't mean necessarily that you make a perfect choice every time that you have a decision to make, whatever a perfect choice means, okay? Because a perfect choice to one person may be different to another. And you've all got these. I wish we had a camera on all of your faces right now, because when I said that, all of you had this amazing, wonderful grin. It's like if you only knew the choice. Well, let me tell you a secret. If you only knew the choices that I've made in my life, you would question some of them, you know?
Yeah, tune in for a second segment on that one.
Like I said, there's nothing introverted about you, is there? Terry, I'm Jordan, I'm kidding. But you're students with high levels of character, and others look up to you. If we were to take you into the elementary schools and walk you down the hallway, and like you all had your cooking attire on, or you all had, I wouldn't take you down the hall in a singlet, but
you'd get arrested for that.
but perhaps in a letter jacket or something. I don't know. Yeah. You know, the students would be like just almost worshiping you because of their character, who you are. I want each of you to take a second and to describe an element of Maroon Devil character that you believe is important and you would like for others to have inside of them as well. Think about that. Maroon Devil character that you believe is important and you would like for someone else to have inside of them. Somebody jump in there. Who wants to go first?
I would say dedication is like very important. If you want to go anywhere in life, just you have to be dedicated to what you want to do, to what you want to be, and otherwise it's like you've wasted time just trying to be something that like you're not really into. Like, I love wrestling. I'm fine with cooking. It's not something I would go into, so it's like if I wanted like to go into like a cooking business, but like I don't cook that often, so it's like I'm not dedicated to it. It's like I'm not going to go anywhere with it.
Mm-hmm. So dedication.
Yes.
One of the aspects of Maroon Devil character. And you have exemplified that. I think all of you have, to overcome the obstacles that you've talked about. Broken arm, Good quality. Somebody else, Maroon Devil Character. Nate?
There's something that James always says, actually, which he says, the devil's in the details, which is basically just like, basically just going the extra step for like the small little details you have to do to like perfect, like, I mean, in wrestling, it's normally about a move or whatever, but really just in life, like, just going the extra step to like perfect it and hit all the fine details.
In the Swain County School System, we have a motto, and most people think it's our mission or our vision, but really it's our motto, and it's our best and then some. And what you just described, Nate, is our best and then some. You know, perfecting what you're doing and then taking it just to the next level, really focusing on those little minute details. Very, very good description. Thank you. What about our junior chefs over here?
I feel like pride is a big key factor in what you need, because you have to have pride in what you're doing in order to want to do it. You can't just do something just because someone told you to do it. You have to want to do it. You have to feel that inside your heart. And I feel like I'm prideful. I'm happy and I enjoy cooking, and I feel like I'm proud to be cooking. I'm proud to be where I am today, where I went in the junior chef competition. And I feel like if I wasn't proud about that, it wouldn't be what I want to do in my future.
And I think, Jordan, there's a difference in being maybe arrogant and being proud of who you are and what you've done.
Right.
And I sense a playfulness in you. I don't know you real personally. I think that we could have a whole lot of fun together. If I were 16, once again, we might even end up in trouble. But what I do sense in you is there is a level of self-confidence and assurance that you're proud of who you are and what you're doing. So I think you represent that well, and appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, Haylee, you're on.
Integrity. I feel like that is a key in not only being a Maroon Devil, but being a good person, not like stabbing people in the back or anything, but like finding out what you want, what you love, and what you want to do, and going after it without destroying anyone else.
I'm telling you what, Haylee, that is a powerful, powerful message, particularly in our culture today, where it seems like a lot of people want to be the best, but they don't care how they get there, and they don't care who they hurt along the way. And that makes me proud of you and thankful to have you as part of our team here in Swain County. So I want everybody to think about these 4 things that have come out, because these teenagers who still have a lot of life to experience have already identified 4 qualities that are critical. Dedication, paying attention to detail, being proud of who you are and what you're doing, and having integrity along the way. You know, those are qualities that are just amazing. And thanks to all of you for being that for us and for our youth. You have left a legacy already, and I'm glad that we still have some of you in years to come so that you can continue to leave that legacy. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. If there's anybody in Swain County, the Swain County School System, your family, anybody, you've each got about 20 seconds to say thank you to people who have been involved in your life. Are you ready? Haylee, go.
Miss Franklin, my mom and my dad, my sister, and all of my grandparents.
My mom, my dad, obviously, my sister, my little sister, and my littler sister, both of them, one just born. Miss Franklin, obviously, I wouldn't be here without her. And then my girlfriend for really just pushing me on.
Very good.
First off, the coaches, obviously. There's like 5.
Who are they?
Adam James, Ian Roper, John Roper, Tony Cochran. This year we had Sergeant Jones. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think those are all the coaches. If we've left a coach out, send us a note and we'll put you in next time.
We'll get over there. And then also just my parents for allowing me to wrestle. I mean, they've never really been very strict on like what I do in terms of like sports and stuff. So, yeah.
It was interesting that you spoke of Dennis Jones, who is an assistant principal now, but you still call him Sergeant Jones because he used to be in ROTC.
Yes.
That's
yes.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of just met him as Sergeant Jones, and even while he was helping coach us, I still just called him Sergeant. I guess that's just what I know him as.
And that's what he fits that. He really does. He thinks that way. He's a good guy. Jonas, who you want to thank?
The coaches, my family, and my friends for just just keeping me in there for wrestling, always pushing me, making me better. Just all the people I've ever practiced with in any practice whatsoever, they've always pushed me to become the best that I can be at that time, and it's been great.
And we want to thank you, Jonas, for how you've represented us, and also Nate. Appreciate you so much for all the years and all the time that you've put in. And our 2 junior chefs, Jordan and Haylee. So thankful that you've lifted this into the eyes of the public. I want to thank a couple of other people. We want to thank Joe Holt, who has helped us put this together. We keep throwing tasks in front of Joe. He's one of the best videographers in the state of North Carolina. And we're fortunate to have him. And also want to thank Mr. Pond, who's been videoing this. Hey, why don't you slide your face right there in front of that GoPro so everybody can see you, and just wave to them. There you go. We're glad to have all of you here. And thanks to each of you who kind of tuned in today. We appreciate you, and if there's anything that you would like for us to cover, don't hesitate to send us a note, an email. You know that you can send something to me at askmark@swainmail.org, and we'll do our best to get it on. Until the next time, y'all have a great day. God bless you, and thanks for being part of Swain County Schools.
The executive producer of The School Zone is Toby Burrell. Joe Holt is our video editor and audio engineer. Aiden Pond is our intern. Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and to our YouTube channel to receive notifications of future content. And as always, please feel free to share. Now see you next time on The School Zone.